if you can get the principle of what we talked about today, your life will be better in so many ways, including science. I will tell you, the concept of what we talk about today, I use numerous times, probably not in any given day, but a lot of times a year. And without it, I would be very confused about a lot of things. Now, the title of this is called Unit Multipliers. It'll probably take us a long time. We'll try to focus on this. Unit multipliers. Sometimes other books, and even this one might at times, call this conversion fractions. And what a unit multiplier is, number one, it is a fraction that equals 1. And number two, it is made up of different units of measurements. Made up of different, God bless you, units of measurement. It's going to take us a while to get to the actual doing of something here, but this is a unit multiplier. Examples of unit multipliers. If you can just think of two equal measurements that use different labels, that is a unit multiplier. For example, I'm going to throw this at you. 60 seconds is the same as 1 minute. They are the same thing, right? You sit for 60 seconds, you sit for a minute, it's the same measurement over the same measurement. That fraction actually equals 1. That's why it's called a unit measurement. We call it 12 inches is the same thing as, using different units of measurement, 1 foot. You could say, I don't know, what else do we have? 100 centimeters is the same as 1 meter. You could say 24 hours is the same as 1 day. You could say 12 whatever is the same as 1 dozen. You could say, I don't know, 16 ounces is the same as 1 pound. And by the way, the flip of these are also true. You could always flip these over and say 1 pound is the same as 16 ounces. You could say 1 week is the same as 7 days. Anything where you have equal measurements over top of each other, that is a unit. Did you have one that I didn't say?
Yeah.
What are you going to shoot at me?
3 feet equals 1 yard.
Yep, I'll do it to flip-flop. 1 yard is the same as 3 feet, or the vice versa. All of these have their reciprocals that are the same thing. All of these are unit multipliers. You know, 5,280 feet or a mile. A mile is 5,280 feet. 1 basket, 2 points, unless it's a 3-pointer. I don't know, or a free throw. Yeah. So, with that being in mind, we've established what a unit multiplier is. How does it help us? Here's what I need you to write down in ginormous letters. With unit multipliers, the most important thing are labels. Labels, oh boy, I can't even spell it. Labels are the most important or importante thing. Exclamation point. Whatever you have to do to highlight that, make that the most obvious thing in your notes. I'm going to take a long dramatic break because I'm just so worked up about this I can't stand it. Labels are the most important thing. I gotta find one that works out here. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example and then we're gonna do it. And we'll talk about it because I need an example to show you this. First of all, here's the deal. Write this down. The book will tell you something like this. I don't want that. A gallon. 1 gallon. I don't want that. 1 gallon equals 128 ounces. 1 gallon is 128 ounces. How many ounces is 256 gallons? How many ounces? 256 gallons. To which maybe you already know the answer. Who thinks they know the answer? Brady? Brady?
You want me to say it?
Sure.
Something I'm afraid for most study.
Oh, sure you knew the answer. I was hoping you'd say the easy, most logical answer. Nothing? All right, forget it. So let me give you the gist of this. Okay, when you use unit multipliers, here is the deal. Step number 1. The first thing you do is take your given, take what they give you, which is this. They give me 256 gallons. We're going to ignore this. This was just kind of like a helpful hint up here they gave you. Take your given and make a fraction out of it, or just put it over 1. Take your given and put it over 1. So I take my 250, I make a fraction out of it, is all I'm doing. 256 gallons, and you must put labels down, that's what I just said, okay? 256 gallons over 1. Notice there's no label there, because there's nothing there. I just make what I'm given. What I want to change, I put over 1. Step number 2 is you use the unit multiplier that has both measurements in it that makes the given label, oh wait, I should say this, not use, but can I put multiply? Oh wait, I need multiplier. I need to change this to say multiply by. Multiply by the unit multiplier that has both measurements in it that makes the given label cross cancel. And that won't make a lot of sense to you until we actually do this. But it's a lot like that flip and multiply thing. I will beat this in your heads till there's no tomorrow. A lot of words for something that's really, really simple, by the way. I'll give you a chance. Multiply by the unit multiplier that makes both measurements in it. That has both measurements that makes the given label cross cancel. And here's the deal. Here are my 2 equal measurements that I make my unit multiplier out of. Okay, so the 2 unit multipliers I can make out of this are 1 gallon equals 128 ounces, right? Or the flip-flop of that, which is 128 ounces equals 1 gallon. Are you with me on that? Those are your two choices. You can put it one way or the other way. Okay? Because I want to change gallons into ounces, I want this label to go away. I want to make this ounces. So the rule we have with fractions are if you have the same thing on top and the same thing on bottom, they cross off and they go away. So if gallons is on top over here, it has to end up being on the bottom over there, which means I have to use this unit multiplier. 1 gallon is 128 ounces. Because what happens there is the labels cross off, which I said is the most important thing, and then you just do the math for the rest of it. Do the math. And the math here would say to do this. I multiply 256 times 128. Yeah. Which I'm not really going to do. Should I do it? I just wonder. Brady, how fast will it take me to do this? And then don't forget what label is left. The label ounces is left. How long will it take me to do the multiplication? Think I can do it?
10 seconds.
No, it takes me longer than that. That's a lot of multiplication. It's like 48, 4, 44, 4, 16, 20, 256. Oh, now the pressure there. 12, 1, 5, 6. Wait, that isn't right. What did I just do? Oh, 12, 6. Let's just do it. I can't. That's too hard for me to do. Did somebody do it? What is it, Sam? 32,768 ounces. I, by the way, used that whole thing to try to trick you because 2 times 128 is 256. So I was hoping somebody was going to tell me that the answer to that was 2. Was anybody thinking 2 and they just didn't want to say it? Were you, Rib? Did you not see that there? But sometimes, and I don't know if you're like me, and I will confess to this, you know, if I have something like 18 yards equals how many feet? I know that there's 3 feet in a yard, but sometimes I don't know if I multiply by 3 or divide by 3. You know what I'm saying? Do you ever get confused? You know, you have 24 inches, you know, well, you have 24 feet, and I'm converting feet into inches. If I have 24 feet, how many inches is that? This takes all the guesswork out of that. 24 feet equals how many inches? Well, I take my 24 feet, and I put it over 1. I know what has to go down here. My labels have to cross off, so what has to go down here? Feet. What am I converting it into? Inches. And then you just have to know there's 12 inches in 1 foot. That's my unit multiplier. This fraction equals 1. What happens when I multiply something by 1? I don't change it. I'm just changing the numbers I use here. Feet cross off, and my answer is whatever 24 times 12 is, which is what, 48, 24, 288 inches. Now, you're going to say, so what? Say, so what?
So what?
Here, watch how this works. All right, you ready for this? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be things you even know about. Let's say you go to a deserted island, Aiden. And in that deserted island, well, I guess it wouldn't be deserted if there were some, like, a tribe of ancient native pygmies, whatever are there. And instead of money, they use fruit for currency. So they give you this. Well, 10 bananas equals 3 coconuts. And I don't know, 15 grapes equals 4 bananas. Maybe I should use 4. And what else can we use? 2 oranges equals, I don't know, 8. 8 what?
Kiwis.
Kiwis. And 5 kiwis equal, I don't know. No, let's go with 2 coconuts. I don't know if I can even do this. And then I said to you, and I said, well, I have 10 kiwi, and I want to know how many bananas that is. Anybody? Somebody shoot me an answer there. Come on, River. Quickly now, quickly. Lydia says 5. I don't know. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna do the math here in a minute. Do you think it's 5? And I don't even know if it works out perfectly, but I'll give you some sort of an answer here at the end. And I'll show you how unit multipliers just make your life easy. All right, so check this out. So here's how it would work. First of all, I don't have a unit multiplier here that goes from kiwis to bananas, do I? But I do have a link because I can go from kiwis to coconuts. Once I get coconuts, I can go to bananas. So I would do this. 10 kiwis equals how many coconuts, and then after that I would go how blank coconuts equals how many bananas. So here's how it would look unit multiplier wise. Let's do this. So I start with my 10 kiwis. I put it over 1. I'm changing it into what? Coconuts. So what's my unit multiplier ratio? Right here. What has to go on the bottom? I'm getting rid of my kiwis, so kiwis have to go on the bottom. I'm changing it into coconuts, so I know 5 kiwis equals 2 coconuts. Are you with me on that? So, right now you could tell me what it is. What do I get here? 10 times 2 is 20. Well, kiwis cross off. 10 times 2 is 20, divided by 5 is 4. So 10 kiwis equals 4 coconuts. So now I just have to change 4 coconuts into bananas. So 4 coconuts, I put that over 1, and I want to know how many bananas. What's my unit? What's this going to look like now? What am I going to put here? You can tell me. What has to go on the bottom? Coconuts. What has to go on top? Bananas. I have my numbers right here. 3 coconuts equals 10 bananas. All the guesswork is done. 4 times 10 is 40. I still have a 3 on the bottom. It doesn't work out evenly, but I know that it equals 13 1/3 bananas. And again, I didn't have to sit there and try to think about that. It's all mathematically. I use this all the time when we talk about like trying to line the track over there. Like, you know, I'm trying to think of what it would be. The metric system into whatever stuff there. What can we say? I know there are 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. Okay. If I asked you 1 yard equals how many centimeters? You have the capability and the knowledge to be able to do all this. What would you have to go from though? You can't do it directly. You'd have to go from yards to, well, probably go from yards to feet if you don't know. Maybe you know yards to inches. Do you know yards to inches? And then go from feet to inches, and then go from inches to centimeters. And you can do it all in one big swoop. Watch this, River Kavark. This will astound and amaze your friends. First thing is to do what with this? Put it over 1. 2.54 centimeters over 1. My first step is I'm going to change centimeters into, oh, I should have done this differently. Why did I do it this way? No, I'm going to change centimeters into inches. Oh, wait. Why did you tell me to put that? That's not right. River, did you tell me that or did I tell you that? This is my first thing. I'm putting 1 yard. Sorry, that's why it didn't sound right. I want to change yards into centimeters, so I put that over 1. So my first thing is I put yards into feet. What goes on the bottom? What goes on top? And how many feet are in a yard? 3. Now, you don't have to do the math just yet. We'll just cross off the labels. I've now changed it into feet. So my next unit multiplier has to change feet into inches. So what goes on the bottom? What goes on top? And you probably know how many inches are in a foot? 12. Now, I have now changed it into feet, which I'm thinking Brady already knew there were 36, but we'll keep going. Now I need to change inches into, inches have to go on bottom because I want them to cross off, centimeters go on top, and I know that there are 2.54 centimeters in an inch. And then my math just says, to find the answer, I just take 3 times 12 times 2.54. Or, based on that, let's just do this for fun. If I wanted to know how many miles are in a kilometer, doesn't that shock and amaze you, Kendall? Watch how this would look, because if you pay attention and act like you really care, I may not give you any homework. 1 mile equals how many kilometers? We have enough time to do this? Yes, we do. This will be fun. Plan of attack. How do I get from miles to kilometers? What's your connecting point? We know centimeter. What's the connecting point you know now between the metric system and the RUS system? Was our 2.54 centimeters equals an inch. That's your metric to whatever 2.54 centimeters equals an inch. So I got to get a mile down to inches, so I can change it into centimeters, and then I have to get centimeters back up to kilometers. So how would I do that? I'd have to go from miles to what? What do you know? Okay, you know how many feet are in a mile? 5,280. Then I'd have to go from feet to inches. Then I'd have to go from inches to centimeters. And then I'd have to go from centimeters to, no, we're not going yards. I gotta get from centimeters to kilometers. You know how many centimeters in a kilometer? No, but you know how many centimeters are in a meter, right? 100. And then you know how many meters are in a kilometer? 1,000. Kilometer, kilo means 1,000.
I don't know.
So here's how it all looks. Pretend like you care, because this could be homework on the line here. So here we go. Watch the beauty of this. So here we go. 1 mile. I put it over 1. What has to go on the bottom here?
1 mile.
What goes on top?
Feet.
How many feet are in a mile? 5,280. So now I've changed it into feet. What do I have to put on the bottom of my next one?
Feet.
What am I changing it into?
Inches.
How many inches in a foot? So now I've changed miles into inches. Now I need to change inches into centimeters. How many centimeters in an inch? 1.54. So I cross off my inches. Now I need to change centimeters into meters. How many centimeters in a meter? Now notice there's 100 centimeters in a meter, not 100 meters in a centimeter. So now I've changed it into meters, and then I need to change meters into kilometers. Where does meters go? And what goes on top? And there's 1,000 of these. And now I have just done it. What does it look like? You multiply all the stuff on top together. 5,280 times 12 times 2.54, and then you have to divide that all by 100 times 1,000. Shall we do that? Let's do it. I'll let you know. We'll actually do a calculator, because I can tell you are dying to see what the answer is. Ready? 5,280 times 12 times, wait, did that, why did it put plus? What happened there? Why is 5,268 up there? I'm going to try that again. Oh, did I hit subtract? 5,280 times 12 times, there we go, 2.54. So I get 169.34. And that is all, what's 100 times? That's 100,000. Is that right? And you should be able to do the math there, because mental math there, what do I have to do? Just move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 mile equals 1.6 kilometers. We'll just leave off that extra thing there. Is that true?
Yeah.
So if you run a 5K, how many miles is that? If I run a 5K race, now that I've got my unit multiplier, I can just multiply with K on bottom, miles on top. There's 1.6 kilometers in 1 mile. You divide 1.6 into 5, which I'll do here for you because I know you're very interested. 5 divided by 1.6. A 5K is about 3.1 miles. And I think if you're a runner, you would have been able to tell me that, wouldn't you? Any runners in here? You guys are lazy.
Thank you.
Thank you for being